Macroparticle.
Greetings, this is MacroParticle and welcome to my latest update regarding the builds on my creative map called MacroParticle Synthesis on the PlayStation 4 edition of Minecraft. So, this update is regarding modifications that I've made to the trains. Interestingly enough, the trains were my most popular creations on this map in terms of the number of views that they each received. So I've also added a statistics section to each of the builds. This one is for the large suburban electric multiple unit. Take moments to pause the video where necessary. These are the main details. The summary, well, I'd say that these would be the main details regarding the train. This is, I'd say, less relevant. So yes, you could argue that it isn't an electric multiple unit since, first of all, since it's a Minecraft build, it has no form of propulsion. After all, it's impossible to create a build this big and this long that can move by itself. And furthermore, it has, supposedly anyway, no form of electricity collection method, i.e. no third or fourth rails and no overhead cables. However, you can assume for this that it is a battery powered EMU. So any modifications to this station were very minor. I've also added this platform, which literally took me about 2 minutes to build. Negligible compared to the length of time that I spent modifying this train. Since both of the trains are large and long structures, believe me, modifying them took excruciatingly long periods of time. So, unlike my previous videos, I will wrap this up so that the video will be less time consuming in the process of touring the builds. So starting with the front end, starting with the nose of the train, the front nose that is, the dot matrix display that was on the roof of the train has been replaced by a dot matrix display on the window, making the design slightly more aerodynamic. Furthermore, I've also given a curvature to the window to make it look more professional and modern. Now we move on to one of the sides of the train. So I've widened each door by 2 blocks. In other words, each door is 2 blocks longer, and furthermore, I've added these, what are they called? Stepping platforms or such, you know, those narrow overhanging stepping grids or whatever that are commonly used on passenger trains. And on each door I've widened the windows. I've also added curvature to the windows on the main body and made them taller as well. I should not be saying this about my own builds, however, the original versions of both of these two trains look just awful, especially the deep level tube, which is why I felt that I had to modify them in the first place. which brings us to the rear end, which for obvious reasons has the same features as the front end. Now we move on to the other side of the train, where the doors on this side are open. Not only have I modified the exterior of the train, however I've also modified the interior too. Wow, looks almost indistinguishable from a genuine real-life train when looking at it from a distance. We have the blur to thank for that. Now I'll show you the interior of the train. We start with the front driver's compartment. The modifications to this is that the dashboard is slightly curved and the lighting has been moved further up to maximize space in the compartment. Now, the interior of the front carriage. Ironically, the interior of the front carriage received the least amount of modifications compared to the interiors of the other carriages. This is the middle carriage. I've modified the end dot matrix displays since the original ones look really awful. I've made use of purple blocks, which are features which have been recently added to Minecraft, and furthermore I've added these hanging red grab poles to the ceiling. I mean the ones that you see hanging off, not these vertical ones, for example. And now the interior of the rear carriage. So this interior received the most number of modifications. This is my favorite interior. The interior of this carriage includes features from both the front and middle carriages, in that not only does it have dot matrix displays at the sides, but also one hanging off the ceiling vaguely in the middle of the carriage. With that done, I will show you the rear driver's compartment. The only difference to this is that, yes, first of all, I forgot to add white blocks to this compartment, and also the background here is green instead of blue. One more thing, that length measurement of 884 blocks may have some uncertainty to it, as this train is so long. I might have miscounted about 10 blocks, but I believe that I measured it correctly to 884 blocks, but you know, I can't guarantee that. And furthermore, this is not like the PC edition where I can display coordinates on the screen and accurately calculate the length of the train from the difference in coordinates. And that's the Suburban Electric Multiple Unit. With this done, now I will show you the modifications to my other train, which is the deep level tube. So yes, I still haven't bothered to patch up the underside of the train. But then again, let's face it, the underside of an actual train in the real world is not simply a black platform. There are all kinds of features to it. For example, a cooling fan, a power collection method if it's an electric multiple unit, an engine or motor. Oh yeah, by the way, I've completely rebuilt the station, as in the station that corresponds to the deep level tube. As you can see, there is only one rail. Since I don't plan to build any more trains anytime soon, I've decided to terminate the Green Line service at this station. The design of this station has been inspired by the stations that were opened as part of the Jubilee Line extension in the late 1990s. Why, it's fucking turn! There are two more signs over here. So the track configuration is so that the trains arriving at the station will pass into this track. However, the trains leaving the station will divert to a totally different track, as you can see. It's very straightforward. So like with the previous train, this train also has statistical information to it that I've provided. Like, as always, pause the video where necessary. Oh, what the hell. So one key aspect to this station, the main reason why I rebuilt it in the first place was in order to create a greater distance between the station and the train so that I could slightly extend the track. I've added this section which I call Fuckington Square. Quite an inappropriate name for a roundel, but does it not sound English to you? And the symbols of my metro system. So first things first, more like with the previous build, I've added curvature to the nose of this train to make it not only more three-dimensional but also more aerodynamic. Similar to a sports car, it also has air inlets at the sides. Unlike the previous build, the doors on both sides of the train are closed. To be honest, I just really could not be bothered to build an interior for this one. You would not believe how long that would take me. And besides, it was enough that I did build an interior for the other train, especially 3. So, anyhow, like with the windows on the body of the previous train, the windows on the body shell of this train, I've made these windows taller. Furthermore, I've made the windows on the door or the train doors not only taller but also wider too. I've also added curvature to them because I must admit that the rectangular shape for the windows of the previous version of this build was just a terrible idea. It looks like something from the 60s, for fuck's sake. Similar to the other train, I've also added these overhanging stepping platforms on the doorways. Pretty much all modern London Underground trains have these features now. I've also modified the exterior dot matrix display on the side of the carriage. As in, I also changed its shape as well as moving it further up. I've also slightly extended the train by building a small part of another carriage. This is supposed to simulate the common situation of a train either entering or leaving the tunnel. In this case leaving, since the white coloration of the flashlights at the front end of the train indicate that it's travelling vaguely in that direction on a collision course with the other train. Would you believe it? So the other side of the train is basically a mirror of the first side that I showed you. Oh yeah, I've also forgot to mention this interconnecting gangway feature is a new feature that will be added to deep level trains. This feature is already available on all of the subsurface tube trains, as it in this case the S-Stock, and will be added to the trains that will be part of the new Tube for London project. Speaking of which, I personally like Transport for London, especially London Underground, because unlike other train services, these train services are not only quick, frequent, reliable, but also affordable. There's also, in Britain, there's been this topic that is now commonly discussed regarding whether or not Britain's railway infrastructure should be nationalised. In my opinion, all British railway infrastructure should come under the control of the government, and the TfL network should be expanded to cover what were once other national rail services inside of London, such as Southern, Southeastern, London Midland, Southwest trains, Abellio Greater Anglia, because I personally find it a joke that foreign countries are subsidizing their own fares by running British railway services. The railways should act in the best interests of the passengers and of course the government, not the best interests of private investors or private corporations, especially foreign ones. Well, First Group is a British transport company, so I'd say that they should be allowed to maintain their franchises such as Great Western Railway and whatever. Here is the plan view of the train. As I zoom out, more and more features of the train are revealed. So just like last time round, I will give you a glimpse of the train from this orientation. No, quite a beast, isn't it? So that's all there is to this build. Like I mentioned earlier, my next video of this map will feature a brand new build altogether, which I have yet to start building. So if you like this video, then be sure to show some appreciation for my efforts by liking this video. And why not subscribe to this channel for all the latest updates if you're new.